the movie, they painted it white, and they removed the palm trees and replaced them all with pine trees. They filmed the movie and then they restored it after they were finished. And that is because Nick Nolte refused to go on location. I think the bracelet he had on his ankle had something to do with that. I'm going to pass a whole bunch of different homes here that belong to a trust held by Ray Huizinga, our resident billionaire. The first one is the one on the right here that looks like it's right out of Harry Potter. Ray gave that to his niece when she got married several months ago. The house is valued at $20 million. The house on the right-hand side here, this is where Wayne lives right now. It's actually 5 separate homes that are all interconnected to create the one large estate. And that was done several years ago by the previous owner, Michael Egan, and he was the founder of Alamo Car Rental. Now Michael sold Alamo Car Rental to Ray Huizinga, and then last year he sold him the house as well. Take a look at the pagoda. It sits in the middle of an infinity swimming pool. Second level is a hot tub. Third level is a chime system that plays music. Now that gold you see is not paint. That is 22-karat inlaid gold. For those of you who don't know who Wayne is, let me share this with you. He is our local billionaire. According to Fortune magazine, his current net worth is $2.7 billion. And he started 3 Fortune 500 companies, built them from the ground up. Blockbuster Video, Waste Management Corporation, and Auto Nation. He also likes to collect things, like professional sports teams. He owned the Marlins, he owned the Dolphins, and he owned the hockey club they have down here, which escapes me from the moment. This house on the right-hand side belongs to a lawyer. When he got out of law school, he came down here, joined a firm, and they said, you know, he needs a little bit of seasoning, so we're doing something that'll give him the experience he needs in the courtroom. So they assigned him a case of the people versus the Ford Motor Company, figuring he would never win it, but it would be a good experience. Well, he was the one who found that very damaging memo from engineering up to the management saying, hey, these Pinto automobiles have tanks on them that will explode on impact. So then he got the other memo going back down to engineering saying, yeah, don't worry about it. We'll handle it on a case-by-case basis rather than have a massive recall. Well, he obviously won that case. It was $800 million, of which he got $80 million. He owns the firm now. I used to own a Pinto automobile, by the way. I gave it to my mother-in-law with a full tank of gas. These houses on the left-hand side are also Ray Huizinga homes. That was where he lived when he started. This belongs to his nephew, Stephen. And this one here belongs to his sister, Bonnie. Her husband is Whit Hudson. And he's the CEO of one of Wayne's companies called Public Services. The house on the left-hand side was a beautiful home. Belonged to Wayne's daughter, Pamela. It was a nice little $7 million starter home. She's having a third child. It's no longer big enough, so they're taking it down and building a new one. Anybody shop at Kohl's department stores? Kohl's department stores, yes? Okay, then you pay for this house over here on the left-hand side. That was Mr. John Cole. And it was the largest sale in the residential market in the year 2000. It was on the market for $22 million, sold for $17. This place, this has been under construction now. This is the second season that I've seen it. And they're building it so that it will withstand a Category 5 hurricane. It's all reinforced concrete with rebar. Even the roof is poured concrete. Well, the interesting thing is, usually accompanying a hurricane is a surge, a tidal surge. The last one we had was 13 feet high. So it may withstand the wind, but it'll turn that place into a huge aquarium. The yellow house on the left-hand side, that was built for the $6 million man we measures with Ferro Fawcett. Unfortunately, about the same time that the house was finished, so was the marriage. They never actually occupied it as husband and wife. Lee quickly became the $3 million man, and later on the fall guy. The house was on the market for a little over a year. Seems nobody wanted to buy a house that had major faucet problems. I'm not going to get any better either, by the way. See the house with the natural seawall there? There's an alligator sitting on top of that wall. It's a bronze alligator. You've seen it before on sportswear. It's Izod, Rene Lacoste. And the White House right next to it, that's the Otis family, Otis Elevator. They're another couple who had a very rocky relationship, a lot of ups and downs.
Otis Elevator.
Seems that she was always pushing his buttons.
Always up and down.
Anyway, when they finally went through the divorce, Mrs. Otis got all the elevators and Mr. Otis got the shaft. What can I say?
Here, hold this one.
You're all clear.
You're ready for New England on New England. Okay. This house on the right-hand side, that is where Rose Kennedy lived. For 3 seasons, they leased that place while they were building their compound up in Palm Beach. Somebody may be able to help me out here. What did they tell you about this White House when you were on the way in? Did they tell you anything about it? This gentleman's name was Jack Hutchins, and he was an engineer with the General Motors Corporation in the 50s when they were trying to get air conditioning to work in automobiles. Jack, on his own time in his garage, developed a little gizmo called the electromagnetic clutch. It cycles your compressor on and off, allows you to control the temperature in the car. So he took it to his bosses and said, I've solved your problem, and it's only going to cost you $500,000. And they said, Jack, you work for us. We already own it. He said, I quit, and then he sued them. After an 8-year court battle, the judge finally found in Jack's behalf and awarded him $2.50 for every car, truck, or van that came off the assembly line equipped with air conditioning for the life of the patent, which is 35 years. So Jack was making somewhere between $12 and $16 million a year for 35 years. Not bad for a little gizmo, huh? Now, if you look at that house carefully, you'll see that every single room in the house has a beautiful water view. Unfortunately, Jack is now in his mid-80s, legally blind. He can't see out of any of those windows. But don't feel too badly for him, because he recently married a 38-year-old woman. She sees fine and he feels just great. By the way, that house was on the market for $35 million. They brought the price down to $28 million recently. But before you run out and put a deposit down, keep in mind that in Broward County, the real estate property taxes annually are 2%. So you have to pay $37,000 a month in real estate taxes. Not a clue who owns this house here. But I could speculate just a little bit. How about Windex? This house, I do know something about it. With a double cupola. That gentleman's name was Frank Rhodes. And he got together with a guy named Fisher out of Miami. And Fisher was the one who developed the Venetian Isles down there. And they brought up all this swampland here and they started doing the same thing. Dredging, putting the spoil on the inside of a seawall, creating the peninsula. Today we are known as the Venice of America because we now have 195